So you should be able to find a discriminant of a quadratic equation for today. So here, still remember the different methods that we use to solve quadratic equations? Yeah, we have the 4 methods. If ever you have quadratic equations and you want to find the roots or solve for x, the variable x, you will use any of this method. So the answers that you will get from using this formula, like x is equal to something, that's what you call roots. Okay, the roots, that's the term, roots. Sometimes the roots, these numbers here are real numbers. Like you can have an answer equal to 5, 7, 1/2. Or the answers here, the roots could be an imaginary number, like you have 5i, 6i. Okay. Now, the discriminant, the lesson today, discriminant, the discriminant of a quadratic equation, it just tells you the type of roots. The type of roots. We're not looking for the actual answer to the equation, but we are only predicting what kind of roots will it have. Will you get an imaginary or a real roots? Okay? So that's the purpose of the discriminant. Not the exact roots, but just the type of roots. So discriminant is represented by capital D. And this is the formula. B squared minus 4AC. If you notice, this expression is found in the quadratic formula, right? Inside the square root is the discriminant. All you have to do is compute for D following this formula and then describe the roots if depending on the answer. If you will get a number greater than 0, meaning positives, this is the type of root that you have. You will have 2 answers and they are real roots. Okay? If you'll get a D equal to 0, you will only have 1 root that is a real root. So these 2 things will give you real roots. But the number of roots will be different. Okay? But if you have a D less than 0, that means negative, you'll have complex roots. Meaning, this is where you'll get the letter I, because it says here complex roots or imaginary. Okay? So, only thing that we need to do here is to compute for D and give the type of roots. So this will be your descriptions. Okay. Alright, let's have an example here. So we have this quadratic equation, 6x squared plus 13x minus 5 is equal to 0, and we will find the discriminant and then interpret the result. These 3 here will be our interpretation. So here, so first thing that you have to do is identify ABC, still ABC, A. Here, our A is 6, our B is 13, and our C is negative 5. Right. And then compute the discriminant, D. The formula is D equals B squared minus 4AC. And then just plug in B, A, and C. Therefore, this is B is 13 in parentheses, and then minus 4, A is 6 in parentheses, C is negative 5 in parentheses. And then Desmos will help you give the answer. Just put this in your Desmos calculator. Come on, everybody, open your Desmos and give me the value of D. What is now the value of D? 289. D is 289. Now, then you have to choose which case is this, first, second, or third. It's definitely the first because it's greater than 0. Greater than 0 means positive. Less than 0 means negative number. So, since it's positive, so therefore we have, that's the discriminant, and the type of roots that this equation it has 2 real roots. It has 2 real roots. Okay? So that's the description. Meaning, what does this mean? Meaning, if you use quadratic formula here, if you use quadratic formula, you will get 2 answers at the end, and it has no those letter I's. The letter I, it doesn't have letter I's. It has 2 answers that are real numbers. Second example here. So we'll find the discriminant. Step number 1 is ABC. Find the values of A. And here A is 1, B is negative 16, C is 64. Then we now compute for the discriminant, capital D. The formula is B squared minus 4AC. And then plug in ABC. Make sure you enclose numbers in parentheses. Negative 16 in parentheses raised to 2. Minus 4. A is 1 in parentheses. And C is 64 in parentheses. Enter in your decimals. You enter this expression in your decimals. And what's the D value? 0. Everybody got 0? Okay, so therefore, how do we interpret if D is 0? Meaning it has 1 real root. So the description here will be it has 1 real root. Okay. Meaning, again, what does this mean? Meaning, if you use quadratic formula here, you will only get 1 answer that has no imaginary numbers. Okay? Maybe you'll x sub 1 here and x sub 2 will be equal to, I think, 8. 8. If you compute use quadratic formula, you'll come up with these 2 numbers, and obviously they're just the same, so it has 1 real root. By the way, this is the actual roots. This is the actual roots. Okay. So it's like you're just predicting the nature of the roots. What kind of roots does it have? That's using the discriminant. Let's go to the final example. Okay, so we'll find the discriminant here. Step number 1 again is find ABC. A is negative 2, B is negative 8, and C here is negative 10. Formula is D equals B squared minus 4AC. Plug in the numbers. Make sure that you have them inside the parentheses. B is negative 8 raised to 2. Minus 4. A is negative 2 in parentheses. And C, negative 10 in parentheses. Now find the value of this expression. Jose, what's the answer? Negative 16. D is negative 16. So, our number is a negative. That means from the guide, it has two complex roots. So, this one is the description. So, it has two complex roots. So, again, that means that if you use quadratic formula here, you'll come up with two answers, and the answers will contain the I, the imaginary number I. Okay, just like what you did yesterday, there are I's there. So, that's the purpose of the discriminant, just to tell you what kind of roots does your quadratic equation have. And that's it for this lesson.